I found the clause on page 17, buried in legal language I wasn't supposed to understand. My sister's name. My fiancé's name. A contingency plan written 6 months before our wedding, detailing exactly how they'd split my inheritance if I died unexpectedly. The document sat on my lap, printed from an email I'd accessed by accident. His laptop, left open, a notification I'd clicked thinking it was about our honeymoon. Instead, I found a thread between Natalie and Derek. My sister. My fiancé. The two people I trusted most in the world, casually discussing my death like it was a stock portfolio. If something happens to Claire before the wedding, do you think the estate defaults to you as next of kin? Probably. But if we're married first, I'm the automatic beneficiary. Either way, we're covered. Smart. She has no idea how much that land is worth. I read it 3 times. Then I closed the laptop, walked into the bathroom, and stared at my reflection until my hands stopped shaking. The woman looking back at me was someone I didn't recognize. Someone who'd spent her entire life being the good one, the reliable one, the one who gave and gave until there was nothing left but the hollow belief that love was supposed to hurt. Not anymore. And if you think that's where the betrayal ends, stick around, because the revenge I built was so quiet, they never saw it coming until it was already too late. Growing up, Natalie and I shared a bedroom in a cramped apartment on the south side of the city. Our mother worked double shifts at the hospital, our father left when I was 4, and every surface in that place carried the weight of what we didn't have. Natalie, 3 years older, learned early how to take what she wanted. My toys became hers. My clothes became hers. Even my achievements, honor roll, scholarship offers, somehow became stories she told at parties, reframed, so she was the one who'd push me to succeed. I told myself it was love, that sisters shared everything. But when our grandfather died and left me, not Natalie, the 60-acre property upstate, everything shifted. The land had been in his family for generations, a sprawling piece of forest and meadow bordering a lake that developers had been circling for years. Grandpa Joe had taken me there every summer since I was 7. He taught me to fish, to identify bird calls, to sit in silence and let the world speak. Natalie never came. She said the place was boring, too far from her friends, too quiet. So when the lawyer read the will and my name was the only one listed, Natalie's face went blank. Then tight. Then she excused herself from the room. My mother pulled me aside later that night. You need to share that land with your sister. Why? I asked, genuinely confused. Grandpa left it to me. Because she's your sister, my mother snapped, as if that was supposed to explain everything. She's struggling. You have a good job. You don't need all of it. I didn't argue. I never did. But I didn't sign anything over either. That's when Natalie started bringing Derek around. Derek appeared at a family dinner 6 months after the will was read. Tall, charming, quick with a joke, the kind of man who made everyone in the room feel like the most interesting person he'd ever met. Natalie introduced him as her colleague, someone she'd been seeing casually. But by dessert, he was asking me about my work, about my hobbies, about the land upstate. I've always wanted to own property like that, he said, his eyes bright with what I mistook for genuine interest. It must be incredible to have a place you can disappear to. I smiled. It is. Natalie watched us from across the table, her expression unreadable. Over the next few months, Derek and I kept running into each other, at coffee shops near my office, at the bookstore I frequented, at a charity event I'd mentioned once in passing. He always seemed surprised to see me, but the conversations grew longer, more personal. He asked about my childhood, about Grandpa Joe, about the dreams I'd never told anyone. When he finally asked me out, I hesitated. What about Natalie? He laughed softly. We were never serious. She knew that. I called her that night. Derek asked me out. There was a pause. Then lightly, oh, that's fine. We weren't really a thing. Relief flooded through me. Are you sure? Claire, she said, her voice warm, sisterly. I want you to be happy. Go for it. So I did, and for the first time in my life, I let myself believe I deserved something good. Derek proposed on the dock at the upstate property, the sun setting over the lake in shades of amber and violet. He planned everything. Candles, a picnic, a ring that must have cost more than I would have spent. I said yes through tears, and he held me like I was the only thing that mattered. Natalie was the first person I called. "Oh my God!" she screamed, and I could hear her crying on the other end. "I'm so happy for you, Claire. You deserve this. You deserve everything." She came over that night with champagne, and we stayed up late talking about the wedding, about the future, about how grateful I was to have her in my life. "I know we've had our differences," I said, a little drunk, a little emotional. "But you've always been there for me." She squeezed my hand. "Always." Looking back, I wonder if that was the moment she finalized her plan. 3 months before the wedding, Derek's laptop sat open on the kitchen counter. We'd been living together for 6 months by then, and I'd grown comfortable in his space, in the routines we'd built. He was in the shower. A notification popped up. "Natalie, did you talk to the estate lawyer yet?" I stared at it, confused. Why would Derek be talking to an estate lawyer? We hadn't even discussed wills yet. My finger hovered over the trackpad. I clicked. The thread loaded, and my entire world shattered in the time it took to scroll. "If something happens to Claire before the wedding, do you think the estate defaults to you as next of kin?" "Probably. But if we're married first, I'm the automatic beneficiary. Either way, we're covered." Smart. She has no idea how much that land is worth. Developers are offering $3.2 million now. I know. That's why we need to move fast. Once we're married, I can start handling her finances. She trusts me completely. She's always been easy to manage. Just keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry. She'll never suspect a thing. I read it again and again. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped the laptop. The shower shut off. I heard Derek humming. I closed the thread, set the laptop down, and walked into the bedroom. My reflection in the mirror looked pale, hollow, like someone had reached inside me and scooped out everything vital. He emerged a moment later, towel around his waist, smiling. "Hey, babe. You okay? You look like you've seen a ghost." I forced my mouth into a smile. "Just tired." He kissed my forehead. "Get some rest. I'll make dinner." I nodded, and I began to plan. For 3 days, I moved through my life like an actor in a play. I smiled at Derek. I texted Natalie. I confirmed wedding vendors and acted like everything was fine. But at night, alone in the dark while Derek slept beside me, I replayed every moment of our relationship, every coincidence, every perfectly timed encounter, every question about the land, about my finances, about my plans for the future. He'd never loved me. He'd hunted me. And Natalie, my sister, the person who'd shared a bedroom with me, who'd held my hand through our mother's illness, who'd cried at my engagement, had helped him. The grief was paralyzing at first. Then it curdled into something sharper. I wasn't going to cry. I wasn't going to confront them. I wasn't going to give them the satisfaction of knowing they'd broken me. I was going to disappear. And I was going to take everything they wanted with me. Her name was Gabrielle Chun, a family law attorney I'd found through a coldly pragmatic Google search. How to protect assets before marriage. Her office was in a sleek downtown building, all glass and steel, the kind of place that radiated competence. I sat across from her and handed her the printed emails. She read in silence, her expression never changing. When she finished, she set the pages down and folded her hands. "You're 3 months from the wedding." "Yes. And you want to protect the land." "I want to protect everything." She nodded. "Then here's what we're going to do." Over the next 2 weeks, Gabrielle walked me through a strategy so precise it felt like surgery. Step 1. Transfer the deed of the upstate property into an irrevocable trust, naming myself as the sole beneficiary and trustee. Derek would have no claim to it, even after marriage. Step 2. Open new bank accounts in my name only and quietly move my savings, severing joint access to anything we'd started sharing. Step 3. Document everything. Every text, every email, every recorded conversation that proved premeditation. Step 4. Cancel the wedding without explanation. "They'll demand answers," Gabrielle warned. "Let them." She smiled, sharp and approving. "I like you, Claire." I scheduled the meeting at a cafe 2 blocks from Gabrielle's office. Public, bright, impossible to cause a scene. I told Natalie and Derek I needed to talk about some last-minute wedding details. They arrived together, which should have been my first clue. They'd already coordinated their shock. Derek kissed my cheek. Natalie hugged me. We sat. I placed the folder on the table between us. What's this? Natalie asked, smiling. Open it. Derek reached for it first. His expression shifted as he flipped through the pages. Printouts of the emails, bank records, showing his research into my assets. A timeline Gabrielle had constructed linking his relationship with Natalie to the reading of Grandpa Joe's will. Natalie went pale. Claire. I held up a hand. Don't. My voice was calm. Steady. I'd practiced this. I know what you did. I know why you did it. And I know you thought I'd never figure it out. Derek started to speak, but I cut him off. The wedding is canceled. The deposits are non-refundable, and since your name is on the vendor contracts, you'll be the one dealing with that. The land is in a trust you can never touch. My finances are completely separate, and if either of you contact me again, my attorney will pursue harassment charges. Natalie's eyes filled with tears. Claire, please, this is a misunderstanding. No, I said quietly. It's not. I stood, picked up my bag, and walked out. Neither of them followed. The first few months were brutal. Not because I missed them, but because I had to relearn how to exist without the weight of their betrayal pressing down on me. Therapy helped. Dr. Ellison taught me the language I didn't have before: narcissistic manipulation, financial exploitation, trauma bonding. I sold a small portion of the land to a conservation group for $800,000, enough to pay off my student loans, buy a small house in the city, and build a cushion I'd never had before. The rest of the property, the 50 acres Grandpa Joe loved most, I kept. I visit every few weeks, walking the trails we used to hike together, sitting by the lake, letting the silence heal me in ways I didn't know I needed. Natalie tried to reach out once, 6 months after the cafe. A long, rambling email about how she'd been manipulated by Derek, how she missed me, how family should forgive. I deleted it. Derek got engaged to someone else 8 months later. I heard through a mutual acquaintance that the relationship imploded when she found him researching her family's assets. I didn't feel vindicated. I just felt free. A year after everything fell apart, I stood in my new kitchen, small, sunlit mine, and made coffee in the quiet of a Saturday morning. No one to perform for. No one to convince. Just me and the life I'd built from the wreckage. I wasn't the same woman who'd found that email. That version of me had believed love required sacrifice, that loyalty meant enduring betrayal, that being good meant letting people take until there was nothing left. This version knew better. I didn't need them to apologize. I didn't need them to understand. I just needed them gone. And they were. If you've ever had to walk away from people you thought you'd love forever, you're not alone. Healing isn't linear, and protecting yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Drop a comment if you've ever had to choose yourself over someone who didn't deserve you. And if this story resonated, don't forget to like and subscribe, because sometimes the best revenge is just living well.